It's the new year, which means it's time for some resolutions. This year, my resolution is learning how to do the robot. Also, I'm going to update my COVID vaccine booster. An updated COVID vaccine boosts your protection against severe illness, hospitalization, and the worst outcomes of COVID. Find updated vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Then can you offer yourself the kindness to know that you needed to say yes 4 times before you understood what that was for you?
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Asian Not Asian podcast. The podcast with all your favorite Asian friends. Friend in this case, because Jenny is not feeling well. So it's just ya boy, Mike Nguyen, here. And she'll be back. She's just like lost her voice. She was out doing young people things. Serves her right. And now it's just me. Real quick, up top, a couple announcements. Hack City, the next one, I believe, April 14th. That's a Friday. It's always the second Friday of every month. So April 14th is that one. Then May, it'll be the second Friday. That's a stand-up show. If you've never been to stand-up, many of our fans have never been to stand-up. I promise you, it's good, okay? It's not like a cheesy thing where we're going to make... Okay, I will make fun of you if I can see you with my line of sight, but it'll be good. It'll be a good time. Watch the clips on my Instagram. I'm pretty funny. I've been doing this for a long time. I have nothing else in my life. No MBA. That's it. And I have comedy. That's it. So please come. It's a good time. It's at Union Hall. Again, April 14th is the next one. And then it's every second Friday. I'd love to see you. Also, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month is coming up. That's in May. And if you want me and Jenny to stop by and do some shenanigans with your organization, then just email us at asiannotasianpod@gmail.com. Try to have money, because people are always like, oh, our diversity is so important to our organization. We really need diversity. We need diverse voice. It's important to uplift voices you never hear. We have $50 in the budget. Come on. Are you serious? Really? You spend more money on cronuts. I see it. I see what's happening. BuzzFeed or whoever it is that's trying to call us over. We would still love to do it. Just email us at asiannotasianpod@gmail.com, and me and Jenny could do something. We could do some funnies. We could have a fun talk. It'll be great. Finally, please leave us a review. We love getting reviews. Jenny doesn't like getting them, but I like getting them. Hit 5 stars on the podcast app. Hit subscribe on Spotify. You can leave a review on the podcast app. And then finally, if you are so inclined, you can take a screenshot, tag us at Asian Not Asian Pod on Instagram, and that always helps a lot. That's really, really big. I'm just going to bring on our guest because I am sweating because it's just me, and the pressure of holding up this podcast on my shoulders is too much. Our guest this week is New York Times best-selling writer, author of numerous books, including 2021's Yolk. Help me welcome Mary HK Choi. Are you waving?
I'm waving.
You're waving?
Well, it's that thing where I'm realizing that video is running, and so I'm doing that rigor face where I'm just or rictus face rather, where I'm just smiling as amiably as possible. So waving.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I've been trying to get you for so long.
I know. It's because I have ADD, and so it's actually really difficult to sort out my schedule. I mean, and it's an emotional thing.
You also mentioned that you were because I was doing research on you. You're an author.
I am.
And you've written several amazing books.
So far, your research is doing great.
I've crushed it. I noticed that I was trying to find interviews with you just to kind of get a sense of who you are, and you haven't done an interview since 2021, and I realized that's when your last book came out. So thank you for coming on the show without anything to plug.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for highlighting a great weeping wound in my life, which is that my next book is very late. So my last book came out in 21, which is harrowing to consider, and then I went on the tilt-a-whirl sort of cycle of trying to get things adapted. And so that's kind of what I've
Oh.
been doing. I'm working on my second book adaptation for a feature film. And then the third book, Yolk, as you mentioned, that came out years and years and years and years and years ago, that I'm trying to get that into a TV show. So
I like that. See, this is how great of a creative you are. I tried to roast you just now about not coming out with a book, and you came back harder with, "Oh, I'm turning them into movies," is why.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like, granted, we can all feel shame about it, but I think that that's kind of a singular talent of being Asian. I feel ambiently humiliated the whole time because
Yes.
I should be producing
Right.
constantly.
Right.
Because if I'm not producing, then what kind of like indigent piece of shit am I?
I like that. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and we'll get into it. And that you call yourself a piece of shit on the podcast, on your own podcast.
Oh yeah. No, that's actually like my status message. It's my away message. It's been a huge reckoning to sit with how truly despicable my self-talk is. And like
Jesus.
it really speaks in my voice. It's like the call is coming from inside the house.
Yes.
It's not even like hectoring and loud and shrill. It's like seductive and like kind of hot and like really abusive.
Right.
So I feel like that's kind of like turning the volume down, or I'm just making it that much harder to detect. I'm not sure.
You might be the most Asian person I've ever had on this podcast with what you just said.
Thank you so much.
That's saying something. Okay, we've
It
had some
burns.
pretty Asian. We once had a bowl of kimchi on the show.
Yeah.
And I think you just destroyed it. So thank you again for coming on. I wanted to do. We got to do a Patreon shout out, but before that, I want to do something I've always wanted to do. I do this sometimes with Jenny, but we're turning this into a fashion podcast. And I want to just do a quick fit check because you're bringing some pretty good, I wouldn't say, I would say heat, but not, I would say heat in the style, but cool in the colorways.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow.
What's up? What's going on here?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate your roundabout, circuitous way of building an entire podcast to talk about your own fit, because I'm seeing a lot of layers, and I think this is actually just like a ploy to talk about the thought and care that went into your situation.
I did put, you saw right through my ploy.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
congratulations,
Just thinly
Mr. Bond.
No, because, and so just to start with you, I'm seeing a lot of textures. I'm seeing suede
Yes.
tassel loafers.
I got my my Alden tassel loafers on. Yes.
Also, to do an Alden in a tassel loafer, when other people go for like a more substantial shoe, I think is
Yes.
like showing joie de vivre,
Whoa.
savoir-faire. I like that. The socks, are they critter socks?
These are polo. They got little polo bears on them.
Right.
Wearing outfits. Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And then you've got like the break on the khaki, that's substantial, also kind of teasing into the, let's call it interstitial season that we're finding ourselves
What?
in.
Yeah.
No, it's like a nod to spring.
Do people, when they hang out with you, do they bring a thesaurus or a dictionary? Because you
Well-
say the words that you're saying are like, these are like the things that usually like Microsoft Word suggests to you.
The
And you don't.
paperclip.
Yeah, that comes up and you go, do you mean interstitial? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I'm blacked out is what it is. I get really polysyllabic when I'm just like putting
Okay.
up
No,
all the
I like it.
defenses.
Okay, go
but
ahead.
then you've got critter socks, which I love.
Thank you.
Again, mid-season.
Thank you.
You're like kind of like a fine weight khaki. And
Yeah.
good break.
Thank you.
I'm seeing that maybe you don't wear socks a lot in the summer. That's what the break
That's
is showing me.
absolutely correct. You read me like a book, Mary.
And then you've got the wink, the callback to the shoe with a suede.
With a suede, yeah,
it's
it's
a
a suede
coat.
jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Patch pockets, very
Yeah.
unfussy. Also, challenging color.
The
Kind of-
blue?
Yeah, no, it is challenging only because it sort of feigns like kind of a denim.
Oh yeah.
And so you can do a denim nod inside, which you have done. And not a chambray, and proper
No.
denim shirt.
I don't like. That's not say. I don't want to say I don't like chambray shirts. I feel they were of a moment.
I also chambray hive goes on fire.
Yeah.
Lays waste to your mentions.
Yeah. My Twitter's destroyed.
Yeah.
The chambray crew. No, I like full on denim on denim, everything denim. Denim is the best material ever made, and I don't like I mean, chambray is fine, but
Chambray's fine.
it's fine.
Chambray's fine. It's just lightweight.
It's fine. It's just like it's just not rugged like I am. So this is good. I never have done something where you check the other person's fit. Okay, let me do you now.
Wait, no, we're not done.
Oh no, we're not done.
Got a sort of medium whale corduroy hat.
Yes.
So it would be too redundant were you to do like a velvet, which is like, or a velveteen, which would have been too much of a nod into the direction of the suede. So you broke it up.
I did.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep. And then a callback to the sock.
Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's entirely
Nicely done.
Wow. You you what did the kids say? You ate it all up with no crumbs or whatever the fuck. Well, I don't know what that means, but you did it. You did it. That's crazy. Oh my God.
you.
I've never had so much clothes on, but also felt so naked.
Yeah.
Right. Than that right now.
Just coming on to expose. Also, actually, sidebar, bonus points. A very light bit of cuff, not quite like a Beau Brummely 3/4 like
Oh, I see.
centimeter, but a hint, which I also like.
Thank you. It's all
Yeah.
about subtlety, baby.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Okay, let me do you. You were really good. That was amazing. I'm going to start with your. Are those Hokas?
Of course, they're.
You're wearing Hoka shoes.
I'm wearing Hoka One Bondis, and I'll tell you why. This is, dare I say, the the new boost in
yes.
sans Kanye, like removing the Kanye
thank
factor
you.
entirely.
Yes, there you go.
In that this is for anyone, I would say, north of 37 years old.
Okay.
With the same aged cartilage in their knees, ankles, and hips.
You just had to say cartilage, baby.
I did. No, and so I walked here, which is kind of like a throwaway stunt to say I live in the city. But,
Yeah.
and I did not know we were going to do a crep check or a fit check. And I maybe didn't even know that this would be taped for YouTube. I thought it would just be like for reels.
Oh, yeah. No.
And so I didn't know we would go into this
We're
much
doing the whole
detail with
thing.
clothes. I'm wearing underneath my
Yes.
sous-vêtement is Uniqlo Heat Tech.
Okay. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The real goat of Asian women fashion is Uniqlo Heat Tech.
I'm so glad you brought that up because you know that I was a Uniqlo Heat Tech spokesperson.
Were you? That makes so much fucking sense.
Well, I wrote this like absolute love letter to it because I cannot live without it. I basically liken myself in the wintertime to a mime because I just walk around in my house dressed like a giant insect.
Just all black on black.
Yes.
You're stuck inside an invisible box.
Yes. Am I going down the stairs?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Oh no, I'm on a rope. I'm pulling a rope.
Yeah, totally. And so I wrote this thing for the Wall Street Journal, and I was just like, I'm obsessed with Uniqlo. I'm a Uniqlo Heat Tech Never Nude, which is how I identify.
There you go.
And then they came and they were like, would you like to be in an ad? And I was thrilled.
Shit in my pants. Are you
I'm
serious?
saying, yes.
That's amazing.
Thank you. It's maybe my top accomplishment. So there's
I
that.
think so.
But I will say, Uniqlo, if you're listening, of course you are. What better work do you have to do? They changed their formulation for the Heat Tech, and it's different.
Yeah.
It hits different. So
it hits different.
Since 2021, aka the year that my last offering to the world came out.
We all know.
It's like the shirt itself is smaller. I wear a men's extra small shirt.
Okay.
Because I can't do like kind of the bateau neck that they give women. Or
you don't like the
scooper
okay.
neck.
Yeah.
I like a turtleneck. And then I don't know, the weight is different. So I'm just gonna say caveat, Uniqlo, I love you. But
yes. ... You changed it up. Now your pants. See your pants. I'm trying to. They're like this kind of accordion-y thing. Is it easy? Is it?
It is.
Is it Chinese grandma?
No,
I don't know.
Well, actually, the prime thing. It's pleats, please. It is Issey Miyake.
Yep.
But the thing about Issey Miyake that I love so much is much like the Hokas on my feet. If you are of an advanced age and you have capitulated completely and given up.
Yes.
There is no better uniform than pleats, please.
Yes. Explain.
Because no one will ever call you to task for wearing it again. It's a classic.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows that it is of a certain, dare I say, elevated price point.
Yes, it is.
Ergo,
Right.
they're like, okay, the status hath been stunted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can repeat it all the time. And even the best part of it likes to be stored scrunched up.
Yeah, you gotta like twist it and put it into a little bag or something.
It's like if you were tie dyeing it. So it's like you make a little ball. And like if you're packing a suitcase, there is nothing more redeeming than just like making all your clothes really, really
tiny.
without safe space, like space saving bags or anything. And then
when you open it up, it all like pops out like a jack in the box.
Totally.
Like all your pants just fly up.
You're like, it's not nuts, it's snakes. Yeah, totally. So it's kind of that vibe. And it's like game recognized game. It's kind of like that Mara Hoffman, again, a scrunchy dress. If you see someone else in it, you're like, hey.
Yeah,
like,
you're part of the gang.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
And actually, to your earlier point about, or is that Chinese grandma? If you're wearing faux pleats, that too is such a fire situation.
It is also. It is like it. I feel that pleats please is almost like in a parallel universe of fashion, because no matter where fashion goes, you still got pleats please.
Totally.
No matter what's in style, you could be, it's the athleisure. It does, you can go back to tailoring.
Right.
You still got the pleats please as a viable option.
Yeah, it's like an old lady version of like our legacy.
Yeah. It's always going to be there.
Translate. Yeah, totally.
Okay, then hold on here. Then finally, the knit.
The knit is, I think it's just COS, like COS. Like,
okay.
Isn't COS to what's it called? Topshop, what J. Crew Banana Republic is to Gap.
I see.
I think so. I think that's.
Although
I
thought COS is COS not H&M? Is it like
no?
H&M?
I think Henny's is something else. Although they could have all turned into one. Giant
it's all
conglomerate.
just Kmart now.
Yeah.
It's
totally
all just one.
carcinogenic extrusion fabrics.
Right. Brought to you by Disney.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. Fair enough. No.
I love you, Disney.
yeah. Exactly.
I love every sponsor ever.
Please don't destroy us.
Yeah.
No. You look amazing.
Thank you.
And comfortable.
Thank you.
And I don't know, like stable, I guess. Like
no, it's true.
Yeah.
No, I'm in my uniforming phase. Like I've worn some permutation of this probably every day this week.
Well, I mean, you look ready to become a beanbag. I will say that. That is like the move.
As a person who identifies as a lazy/depressed person, that feels accurate. Yeah.
Wow, that was fantastic. Welcome to the show again. We're going to shout out real quick our Patreon subscribers. We have a new Patreon subscriber. Anytime we got a new one, we give you a little shout out on the podcast, and we try to give them a backstory. That's like the game we play. If you're wondering what this is, Patreon is the best way to support the podcast. It's patreon.com/Asian Not Asian Pod. We put the money directly into supporting the podcast. I assure you, my accountant assures you. And I have the receipts literally to prove it. So I don't use it to support my suede jacket collection. It is all goes into the podcast. So today we have a name, and it's just one name, and we're gonna have to build it off of this. Sally B. SALEEBEE. Sally B. That's the name we got. That's all. You can put whatever you want, but we're gonna have to try to build a backstory for Sally B. Off of
you and I.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sally B.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. I think it's kind of like denotes a swing to it. It immediately evokes spaghetti that tends to be on the sweeter side. Maybe it's a side of fried chicken.
You're thinking Jollibee.
I am, but I often think of food, I think. So that's where I immediately went to. Yeah,
I think you are right. I think a bowl of sweet spaghetti has just sponsored this podcast.
And what more loving cup is there than sweet spaghetti? Because when I think of spaghetti, I think, how do I introduce more carbohydrate into this? How do I up the calorie count to above the daily recommended amount? Yes, and by calorie, I think it's pronounced deliciousness. So I think that's how that was succeeding. So this person is a new Patreon subscriber. Yes, is that the status that they have reached? They have they're new Patreon subscriber. Congratulations. Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know how a bowl of spaghetti makes money, but you did it, and you're giving us some money, and it's sweet. So thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. I've been talking to you for a little bit, so I don't even have to introduce you and do all sorts of crap. But we're just gonna get into it. Okay. We like to ask our guests what kind of Asian they were this week, and we asked you this in the pre-production email, and you had some pretty fire things to talk about. I don't know where you want to go, but what kind of Asian were you this week? This week, I have. I think I would closely identify as an Asian with a lot of tabs open and each tab featuring a little bit of mental distress.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of that Chrome extension. Continue.
Infinity tabs is what I like to call
Okay.
it. Yeah, like I've just been having, and actually I think a lot of people have been struggling this week, and I say that not to project my own insecurities and shortcomings onto the world writ large, but I think I was in LA for a week and I got back to town, and something about the jet lag on the way back plus daylight savings.
Oh, yeah.
Harrowing.
Oh, yeah. Holy
Harrowing.
shit.
And so I actually live and breathe with the kind of urgency where I'm being chased by a pack of wild dogs, AKA my horrible self-talk.
Right. Yes.
And so I have been frantic, just absolutely manic and feeling like I'm in big trouble, looking for my quote, missing 4 hours.
Oh.
So like I feel late.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody is inconvenienced.
Yep.
And no, I just had that kind of week where I was just like,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
I couldn't have any discernment around my decision making. And I also identify as someone with ADHD. And so that made each browser tab have infinity browser
Even
tabs.
more, like it was like branching, and like one tab it has a million more, and then each one of those tabs has a million more.
Yeah, it was like watching a time lapse of crystal formation, but maybe
latticing.
zoom out. Yeah. Like latticing a lot and then zoom out a little bit. And guess what? The crystal is tweak. Like that was just how I was doing this week.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I identify hard with that.
Yeah, you had a tough week.
I had.
We saved it for the show, so here
I saved it for the show, and I was also a super stress ball Asian. First of all, the daylight saving change thing, that was, I know it's just an hour. It hits different when you're like over 35.
I think post-COVID, it hits different.
Yo, yes.
Yes, like time and space.
It's fucked, man.
Has done so many weird things.
Yo.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I think contributes to our sense of urgency and super stress, which is that like, it feels like our fault, right? Like there's
how
so
so?
much gaslighting for me anyway.
Oh.
It's like, I'm not allowed to have jet lag from LA because that's bullshit jet lag. It's not even Europe jet lag. It's
I
not
see.
even Asia jet
Yeah,
lag.
yeah.
I used to go to LA every 6 weeks for work, if not every month.
Yeah.
But that's not my life anymore. I have less collagen. I have less cartilage. I have less
Yeah.
self-loathing,
Yep.
believe it or not. Like I don't hate myself as much. And so, you know, when you say like it's only an hour, it's like, why aren't we allowed to be adversely affected like in a sustained way by only an hour? It's destabilizing.
It is. And you absolutely raised a great point. That's this Saturday we had the time change, and that it was like I had a Saturday where it was like D-Day. It was just like everything landed on that day. You know, I had a very stressful like whole thing I had to do at work for my day job.
What is your day job?
I'm like I'm a strategist.
Oh, that tracks.
Does it?
No shot.
Wow.
That tracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
The shade I just got. It's cold in here because of the shade. What does that mean?
No, I mean like what it is that you have, you know, a strategist comedian, ergo, you have obviously like a certain amount of mental acuity, a certain amount of legibility, like you are aware of like brands, you are aware of branding, you know how to talk and communicate about a litany of different topics, and like the observational part contributes to your comedy, and then the observational strategic part obviously contributes to your work. And so in a lot of ways, your day job is as close to adjacent with your core competencies that fuel other things without you feeling terrible about yourself. However, it is still a high octane job and you still manage to feel a little bit terrible about yourself.
Yes. Are you Neo from the Matrix? Because you are seeing the code. Like you are reading the code. I don't know how you're doing it. It's crazy. You're reading you're like stopping bullets and you're like, oh, well, there goes a...
No, because it's like so immigrant where you're like, I can't go the whole way.
I can't go the whole way.
As close as possible. And maybe
right on
they
the precipice.
Maybe they will intersect. Maybe the event horizon.
That's what I've been hoping for it to intersect.
But you know what? Like, what if you were just to like accept, acknowledge, and be grateful for, and like also be kind to yourself that you are able to monetize something, because strategy pays.
It does.
And like, that's not nothing. Like, I get really fucking tired of people who think that they should be, quote, in the creative class, and that this house somehow is like completely like zero sum with any other work. And I'm not just saying this loudly because Rihanna is playing in the background very emphatically. And obviously I love Rihanna so much, but don't act like you forgot.
Yes. There is something I feel about, I ran into this comedy friend, and I think he was trying to give me a pep talk, but he was just like, why don't you go all the way? He was saying something like that. And there's like an idea, I think, to your point about like, I'm approaching this event horizon, but I'm not like letting myself fall into the singularity of just like being an artist, whatever that is. But I feel that whatever society, whoever feels like if you're an artist, you are either an artist or you're a cop out. Like there's always that dichotomy.
I feel like that's the same argument, or the other side of the coin of like, if you are an artist, you also have to be like mentally ill.
Yeah. Yes.
Or like you have to
be, or a comedian, you have to be depressed. Yes.
Yeah. But not even just be depressed, because like I actually think that is a real thing. Like,
sure.
But you like remedying that somehow compromises your proximity to the true genius of, getting ideas or whatever. And you know what? As someone who is medicated and struggles with that effect on creative work, that's not true either.
Sure. Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be your life. And that doesn't have to dictate 100% of your decisions. Mm-hmm. Like, and I find it really fucking facile and like kind of unhygienic when, and I'm no shots to your comedy friend, I don't know this person, but like when people find it so easy to say something so like prescriptive, so blithely to another person. Do you know, like where it's like, you should move to Chicago.
Right.
Like people just go around saying shit like this to each other all day. And I'm always like, that's wild. Yeah. So anyway, I cut you off.
No.
You had a tough
I had a crazy Saturday. It was just, then I had to talk to my accountants about stuff, and that I feel is as close to, I'm sort of a lapsed Catholic, happily.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
me too.
I'm a lapsed Catholic, and I feel there's a lot of moments in my life where I am replacing that confessional aspect with something else. So for example, when I was younger and I would have to go get an STD test, I always felt that was like a confessional. I was like, tell me about your partner, tell me about your sexual history. And if I forgot anything, I would get herpes. Like that was like the punishment.
That's the thing, right? Where you go in, you self-flagellate.
Yeah.
If you don't get it enough, then
if you don't say something bad will happen.
Like get you God.
Exactly. Yeah. And then same thing with accounting. When I go in there, this person lays out everything and asks me questions, and I'm just sweating my ass off. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's what's scary about taxes. Of course, obviously you also owe money at the end, but it's really like, did you say everything? If you didn't say everything, that's a penalty, like literally, legally and figuratively. So that I went through accounting confession. God, I'm like sweating and salivating for some reason. And I went through that. Then I had a bunch of comedy shows, which were just like, they were fine for the people who put me up. Thank you. But it was just like, I was like going all over the fucking city, the train. I was on the train.
Were you like so far from your body?
I was.
Were you dissociated?
No, I think I was the opposite. I was like really in it, but it was making time last longer because I was just like counting everything that was happening.
Right.
And I was like, I can go home after this. But it was just like, I was there, and it was just like, it just wouldn't end. The day wouldn't end, To your point about time, it was like there was Saturday, and then after Saturday, there's Saturday, and then after that Saturday, there's a Saturday. And it just kept going. And finally I went home, and then Sunday happened, and I had a hangover. So it was like
an emotional hangover.
No, I had a literal hangover
Okay.
too. I mean, I had a few drinks, but it was just like, again, the time change, everything like that, and it was just, I woke up like I had an ulcer.
Yeah. Well, you actually mentioned that. Are you experiencing like physical somatic
I
pain?
am.
Like actual stomach ache?
Yes.
Okay. Is it like a searing, like acidic?
I have, I would say it is, I've had an ulcer before, and I know
When?
maybe when I was like 24, I had it because I think at the time I was like recently graduated, and I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to find a job, and I was
Shock.
failing, and I was medicating with Costco pizza.
That'll do it.
I was eating a lot of pizza. Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 42 now.
Oh, jinx, me too. Yeah. So, yeah. So like 24 will do it.
Yeah.
And then like 2008 happened.
Yeah.
So carry the
exactly.
wine. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it was just like, it was it was all that. And now I think I was just put under the pressure cooker. And, when a human is put under pressure, they don't make a pearl, they make an ulcer or something. I don't think I have an ulcer. Huh?
Are you sure? Like, what if I make like cubic zirconia?
Well, you have a new income stream. Congratulations. But yeah, it's been a whole thing. This is so interesting having you like kind of read my code, right? About the strategy thing and then about the comedy thing.
Because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like nervous system wise, stomach wise, like ulcer wise, it's like, is the problem that you had a challenging Saturday, or is the problem that you're looking for the ways in which it's your fault and the way you would have done it differently, or the way you should have done it differently, or the way that, like, that's what I mean when I say I call myself a piece of shit. It's like, it's rarely the things I have no control over. It's that my fear response to not having had control over a situation is to really like forensically CSI the fucking post, like more to the point where I'm like ruminating and running through everything I should have done differently. And like, or like really sitting in the juices and gravy of being convinced that I was somehow wrong about something.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I don't know if you guys have ever had something happen where you discover a new part of yourself that you didn't realize. I know that sounds weird. I don't know if you can relate, but I'm getting, hey, I'm a young guy, but I'm 40 something, and I thought I knew everything about myself. But recently I found out that, through talking on with different people on this very podcast, that I put a lot of pressure on myself. I kind of almost like the pressure of being overwhelmed. And to realize that really was something. It like changed how I thought about myself. And it's hard to learn about things like that, but therapy can help. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react a certain way we do until we talk about it. I think therapy is a good way to kind of make explicit all of those, different automatic actions that are happening in our brains. So if you've thought about therapy, I think it could be really good. I've done therapy before. I use what I've learned in therapy all the time, just to understand a little bit more about myself, learn a little bit more about why I do certain things. It's tough. And it can be hard, but I think therapy is really worth it. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you got to do is just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. You get matched pretty quickly. Then you can switch therapists if things aren't working out. You can always switch at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Asian today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Asian. Gang, do you guys like casinos? Of course you do. You're Asian you love casinos, or at the very least, you love casino buffets. Point is, what fun would a casino be if you could only play the slot machines? That wouldn't be fun for you at all. You want to be able to access all of the different things in the casino. That's kind of like what's happening right now when you use Netflix without ExpressVPN. So the way it works is Netflix has tons of shows, tons of movies, but it blocks different content depending on where you are. And so without a VPN, you can only access some of the content. That's kind of crazy, right? So what you can do is you can use ExpressVPN to unblock content, right? So you can tell Netflix that you're in another place, and all of a sudden you have access to way more content. It's pretty crazy. I use ExpressVPN all the time to watch Rick and Morty. You can watch Rick and Morty from Netflix Australia, even if you're in Netflix America with ExpressVPN. All you do, open up the app, select the country. So I select Australia, tap one button to connect, and then boom, when you refresh the page, it's there. It's awesome. Okay, it's blazing fast internet. You can stream in HD without any buffering. It's compatible with all your different devices on phones, laptops, smartphones, whatever. There's tons of servers in all these different countries, so you can get access to thousands of other shows. So be smart. Stop paying full price for streaming services and only getting access to a fraction of their content. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/Asian. Don't forget to use my link at expressvpn.com/Asian to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. I see what you're saying. I don't think it was necessarily that, because I see what you're kind of like pointing to something about your way of so I don't know, like dismantling like a very hard day. For me, I think it's very Mike Nguyen to just keep putting more stuff on the tray,
I think that's what I'm implying.
Okay.
Like, do you have self-judgment that you put that much on the tray?
Yes, I feel I can never ever put my foot off the gas. I never want to ever.
I can't either.
Stop. You
and
know what I'm
actually,
saying? And if I canceled one of those shows, or if I didn't do those things, all the things that I think of myself as being bad are true now because I didn't do those things. Holy shit, that was a really crazy thing to just say just now and realize.
Yeah, and like I really receive that and I identify with that. And that's what I think is like intrinsic about being Asian and being a part of the immigrant experience. Never mind unpacking what you shared about earlier about like any of the imperialism and colonialism and just like white supremacy of Catholicism. Period.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Where yes.
Like that exchange, that constant like tit for tat, gotcha God, like if you don't do things perfectly, then this is the fire and brimstone. I mean, the actual notion of hell is like such a huge turbine and engine for like motivation for so many things. And those hells can be anything.
Yeah.
And so like, for example, if you canceled on one of these shows, mind you, because you quote unquote have a day job,
right,
doesn't mean that you are less deserving to cancel one of those shows, because you always feel like those comedians who put you up or whatever keep an asterisk by your name, like day job.
Yes, there you go. I'm pretty sure everybody does. Thank you for saying it out loud.
You're all bastards.
You're all putting an asterisk against Mike Nguyen because he has a W-2. Yeah.
And I'm not even right. 1099 or nothing.
1099 or nothing. Where's my 1099 squad? Where you at, huh? If it's not a 1099 miscellaneous, then what the fuck are you even doing?
Also, like, I hate the experience of knowing in my body that, like, I only get a 1099 if I make above $600.
Yes, if you make above $600.
So sometimes it's not even that. Yeah. So that's fine too. But yeah, like, and the thing is, I'm not even saying that they don't feel that way, because they might feel that way, but like, that's none of anybody's business.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And so to your point, it's like, at what point do you deserve to cancel any one of these things that would have made your Sunday a little easier, which would have made you not have to self-harm, drinking on top of an ulcer.
Totally. Wow.
And I don't know.
But
If I knew, I would just stop being Asian? Like, do I lose my card?
You look in the mirror and you're Tilda Swinton. You're just like another person.
I would love if it was still the problematic 90s or the aughts where like I would stand in the mirror and it's like Freaky Friday or whatever. Where it's like, bring, and then I'm just like a blonde. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, an angel got its wings.
There you
I
go.
don't even know.
It was amazing. You're Shannon Elizabeth or something.
Yeah.
You know,
also, don't cancel me. I love being Asian. I would have it no other way.
No, but I think that hey, if you're not hating yourself enough, are you even Asian?
That's what I'm saying.
That is hard as fuck, man.
Well, that's what you were saying. Like, what kind of Asian are you? And I was like, well, I identify as an Asian person who had an Asian mother and was raised by that Asian mother.
Yep.
Ergo,
there you go.
Like, that is just about as stereotypical, reductive, stock character type, flat, but also accurate.
Absolutely.
Thing.
Yeah. That is right. That is.
So you had this Saturday that was really challenging. Your Sunday gave you a hangover.
Yes.
And then did those effects like reverberate throughout the rest of the week?
Oh my God. This week it just kept going, which, you know what, now that you're kind of talking about it too, is there a part of me that was like, I kind of like that sucks. You know, I was like, this was a really hard week, and all the way up until I had like a bunch of stuff happening. It's still happening right now because I'm here right now on the Saturday and I had to leave my family. And so this is part of it. But there is a part of me that's like, yeah, if this is sucking, then I must be on the right track, you know?
Absolutely. That feels Catholic too.
Whoa.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I say, again, I'm a piece of shit, it's that I like that too.
Yeah.
So it's,
right.
You know,
yes.
I'm in a lot of therapy. Like I am in internal family systems, which means like I look at all my parts and all the sort of things that contribute to each individual feeling and like the way trauma has affected all of these parts to the point where I have fractured or individuated to like compartmentalize.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'm also an ACA, which is adult children of dysfunctional families and alcoholic families. I am not the product of an alcoholic family. I am the product of a very workaholic immigrant family, which I count to be dysfunctional. No shots. And I'm also, I have an eating disorder. And so specifically bulimia and a restriction and compulsive dieting and like orthorexia, which is like, I can only eat quinoa today or whatever.
Yes.
And I no longer purge, but all of these things plus ADD, like all of these things sort of inform the thing that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And so I don't drink that much anymore. I don't drink, but sometimes I won't say never because if I do, then I don't want to sit around hating myself for that.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about when you start busy and because feeling shitty and feeling urgent and feeling chased by dogs feels so familiar. Mm-hmm. For me, it gets cross-wired with feeling correct or like almost like righteous.
Yes.
You know, there's nothing more righteous in my workaholism body that's only had workaholism modeled for me to be like, I must be crushing it. I'm fucking busy. Yep. People are asking me to do shit.
People are always like booked and blessed. That's like the whole thing. Booked and
blessed. Right. Like rise and grind. Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, I might feel like shit, but I'm doing it right. I might feel like shit, but this is the only reason to live in New York. I might feel like shit, but if I'm not neglecting my family, then who even am I? Right?
Yeah.
And so in ACA, they call this the inner drugstore.
Whoa.
So because like a lot of people in addiction,
I got a card for that. I got a membership card to that drugstore,
bro.
That's
what I'm saying. And it's like for Asians, it's like the Sam's Club card. It doesn't matter what that little face says. We can use the same card.
It's all good. Yeah. You don't even have to have it. Sometimes you can just get the hot dog from the outside.
100%. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, so because we're used to it and because we've seen our families be addicted to the same things, because they might not be into substances, it might just be like they're really addicted to religion. They're really addicted to prayer, whatever. You look at that and you're like, and it starts feeling good. I start feeling good when I'm late to shit because I'm high. I'm high on being late to shit because I don't get high anymore.
Right. Yes. I might have to cut right here because now I realize we're not doing the podcast. I'm doing a therapy session. But that is the one thing I will say of the pandemic is I don't feel things anymore. I used to feel like I would just, I don't know, fucking put on a Bad Bunny song and I would just be like, I feel good now because I love music and I was great.
Also, Bad Bunny makes everybody feel so good.
Fucking amazing. He's amazing.
And so like just behold, like so hot.
Yes.
Like what?
What is this?
Excuse
What?
me.
I didn't even know you could put this combination together.
And then like in movies, I'm like, I get to have Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny, like ecstatic.
But that's what, so like, but now I feel like it's really, I'm like a wrung out orange juice, like orange. You know, I feel sometimes I don't have anything left and I have to like, to get even a little bit more, I gotta like crank on that thing hard.
Well, I mean, this is a thing that happened to you during pandemic. You had a child.
Yeah.
And so now you get to feel shitty in 3 separate things of your life, right? You have your passion, the comedy, you have like the work job.
Yeah.
And then you have your family life. And so
Yeah.
you have 3 discrete sources of your piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and it's so annoying because you're even more reliant on the one thing that you thought was
Right.
making you feel shitty, aka your day job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. And the thing is, it's like, what I want for all Asians is just the feeling of abundance. Like instead of scarcity, it's like, yo, like you have a beautiful, you sired an heir, you know what I mean? And like you get to do it with the privilege of like a Korean partner. Like you're welcome. You know what I mean? Like this is all like really huge. And like, so the thing that I offer all of us is like, what if you're crushing?
Right.
Like, what if you're already doing fucking great? And I don't mean like once you get through this day, like, what if you already are dominating? Like, you're a dad.
Yeah, I am a dad.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, what does that look like stripped away from the patriarchy and the toxic masculinity of like Asian, like patriarch? You know, like, yes, it's a real thing. Like, yes, being an Asian man in fucking this shithole is its own thing. But like you're like doing terrific.
That's the podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's it's so crazy because sometimes like what you're saying to me, I've been telling you, you've been reading the lines of code. I can't even imagine the lines of code like that. Sometimes I'm just like,
yeah, and
what
like
does that look like?
And I say this to say that like you have a lot going on, like objectively, materially. And so when you no longer feel things more immediately, it's like, okay, well then are you stuck in a hypervigilant state? Are you in fight, flight, freeze, in my case, fawn? Like, you know, and probably your case too as a comedian. Like, and so you have a lot of very real sources for joy.
Yeah.
And like maybe if you had not, you should have done things differently, but like in the future, if you cancel maybe like one thing, can you right size it? Can you understand that they will live, that they'll be fine? Like that moment, even if they feel inconvenience, will move on. And then you have that moment back just to spread it around and see if you can feel more when you are with your kid and like feel more when you are doing the thing that you supposedly fucking love.
Damn, what a radical idea, which is to do less things, you know? It's like that's like not in the code of capitalism, you know?
It's not in the code of capitalism, and it's not in the code of our survivalist mentality as fucking immigrants. And the thing I don't know about you, but the thing that was supermodel for me by my parents was like, the fuck you mean I gotta talk to you and teach you how to do stuff? You see me dying out here? Like this is all for you.
Right.
You know? And it's like, how do you break that cycle? Like how do you like parent yourself so that you can parent your kid? Do you know what I do sometimes?
What? Hit me. No, yeah.
I treat myself like a fucking baby. Not even like call the ambulance, but like, oh, the baby's tired.
Yeah.
Should I overbook this baby immediately.
This baby needs to get out on these streets and start doing shows.
Give you something real to cry about. And I mean with the gentleness and the non-verbalness of rationalization, where it's just like, how would you dead ass treat your baby? Like, period.
Yeah. You're
and
right.
also put a baby picture of yourself somewhere where you see that shit every day.
Damn.
Yeah, where you can actually cull affection for yourself in this way. Because you will a little bit recognize yourself where you're like, oh, those really are my eyeballs. Every time I look in a mirror, I see this person.
Dude, yeah, that's like, it is, that's like so insightful that you're talking about it in terms of my son, because my son, first of all, my son straight up does look like me. So it does feel sometimes like I'm Benjamin buttoning myself and I'm like raising myself. And that, the whole thing about like being kind or kind of parenting him in a way such that you're like trying to dismantle all the notions that you're bringing to the table is, I catch myself doing it. I'm like, I don't want to, even though he's just one, I don't want to put assumptions on him. I don't want to put on any expectations on him. I want him to be him and just be a baby. And he tells me what he wants and I will react to those things rather than like, he should be walking or should be like, I don't know, grabbing things more or some shit like that. I just want him to just be himself. And I think it would be very interesting for me to apply that philosophy to myself.
Totally. And like what you're speaking about ultimately is like detachment. I know that sounds antithetic, but like,
yes,
we know what like codependent enmeshment feels like. We know what expectation foisted on ourselves without being asked feels like. We know what you should be. If you're not doing this, then why aren't you a lawyer, doctor, accountant, whatever the fuck? Because we're so informed by that, we're like, we're not going to do that. And so when you look at your own child with curiosity and you're like, who are you? Who are you going to be? What is it that you will want? How am I going to evolve as what you want changes? Like that's detachment. And can you have that same detachment for yourself? Like what you're talking about versus like, like you should do this many shows because weekends are the only times you can do it. Or like, like all this stuff. And like, I think that is key. Like coming to yourself with a sense of curiosity. Like, what do you feel like doing today?
Damn.
And I don't know how to do that all the time either. I'm just learning, but I'm like in a lot of different like conversations around it.
This is great. I'm glad that you're getting therapy because I'm getting the shine of your therapy onto me.
But that's important.
Yeah. I thank you so much. I want to keep going.
Okay.
We could keep talking.
Okay.
We will keep talking. We're going to keep talking. But one thing I wanted to, and I think this segues into, or come this pigeon toes off of what we've been talking about. I wanted to talk because, did you watch the Oscars?
I did.
Yeah. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think it got 7 wins.
Yeah, it's like it's like it has the most marquee wins of any movie.
Was it best? Let's see. Best actress, best supporting actor, best director, best editing, best screenplay. I can't remember what it was.
Best adapted, I think.
Best adapted?
No, it wasn't All Quiet on the Woods. Anyway, I forget.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then best supporting actress. But
and best picture. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of wins.
That's a lot of wins. Did you watch the whole thing?
I did watch the whole thing for some reason. And actually that's where my night started going off. My week went off the rails.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm not on social media anymore that much. But for some reason, there's something, I think because I've done so many live events and I've done red carpet reporting, I just got really like high on like watching the Oscars and live tweeting about it. And like, it was weird because I don't do that and nobody else on the planet does. And so I wasn't even getting the dopamine hit of everyone engaging with me. Instead, I was getting the dopamine hit of everyone's silence. And that felt really addictive.
Oh, what? Really?
Well, just kind of like, I'm like, like other people like other people's tweets more. Like I'm high on feeling really inferior.
Yeah.
And so that was like a whole thing. But I did watch the whole thing. And I mean, did you cry? I cried. It was like so like when Ki Kwan like
I was
I couldn't I was like it was like relief.
Yes.
it was almost like the sort of bloodletting of all that AAPI hate was like had some sort of actual release where I was just like, oh, like, and it's so asinine. And I'm not saying that if we're not getting kudos in Hollywood, like there's no merit anywhere else. But it was just like such a universal and like public, not only like vote of like confidence or like it just felt like such a moment of like acceptance. So that was really beautiful. How did it feel for you?
You know, I guess that's the simple way of saying it was like I was watching this and it was great, and then there's I'm like so raised on anticlimax that like something like I was like, what's the backlash going to be on this?
Funny you should mention it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's the are people going to be like, is it that good?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so you know, I think for me as someone who grew up in Hong Kong, like watching Michelle Yeoh win was also really significant because she has been so excellent for so long. And I had that moment of like, I wonder, and I'm, you know, the industry is like so fakaked, and like, this doesn't necessarily mean that these actors will get every script in the world or whatever. It probably will be just as uphill and difficult in a way that is even more frustrating because you are coming off such a high. But like watching her win for something like this, where she didn't have to be like pristine, where she didn't have to be the queen that is being dethroned. It wasn't like the formidable power person who is being like whatever, you know, she just got to be like such a protagonist and so imperfect and like so just sanctified by like kindness and like the acceptance of like what she saw as weakness before, and like an imperfect mother, like all of that stuff was so moving to me. But I you know, I was on you know, on social, and people were like hating on the Daniel's acceptance speeches. And they were basically like being like, you know, they're like corny to me, or like, oh, I hate this like show of like false humility. Humility. It was like hitting people in a different way. And I was just like, wow, I feel like everybody's inner bullies are like telling on themselves. And it really, I think for me, like highlighted once again how much relish and glee there is for a lot of people to bully Asian people or to like take us less seriously, or like be like kind of like amusingly baffled by our like peccadillos or whatever. And like, yeah, that kind of.
Yeah. I feel sometimes there's a, especially with Key, you know, he's so sincere in
and
all
hot,
of his. Yeah, it's super hot. And
I feel like that's not actually discussed enough.
I will stop. Let's stop the podcast for 1 second and just his scenes when he's like the dapper version of himself is like, I mean, I was wet. It was crazy,
but
bro.
you know what I loved about both of them. This is why I love that fucking movie. Oh, I love that movie. You got breadth, man.
Yes, son.
And like, that's the thing. It's like, give us the fucking like glow up montage, like the pre, the post, the whole thing.
And then everything everyone wants. He was like, no matter what you threw at him, he's like, yo, check this out.
And the thing is like dead ass, like, and I think this is so important for like, just like coincidence of opposites, simultaneity, just like capaciousness. You can't have.
There's so many words. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
You kind of can't have glow up and tux moment and like the fucking like just suave moment without your man with the googly eyes and your man being like, please, like just be fucking nicer to me.
Yeah.
Like those things go hand in hand, and like. So you get to see like masculinity being so anchored in like just like yielding and kindness and patience, and like that's what gets me wet. Like that, no, that's just so. It's just so good.
It did also, his performance and his like breath, as you say. It also laid bare to me this thing about Hollywood. Yo, does anyone know what they're doing there? Because this talent was there for like 30 years.
He lost
unused.
his health insurance.
Yo, straight up just chilling there. You could have used him, and instead you kept casting a bunch of clowns, and it's like, do you even know what you're doing?
But the thing that actually really breaks my heart the most, and to me feels like a cautionary tale in the way that like actually like makes it really hard to trust myself, is that like he also took himself out of the running.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that to me breaks my heart, because I really identify with that. And that is really there but for the grace of God. Like,
yes,
am I willing to, because you could argue that like for you, like it's not your strategy job that's a problem. Like you could easily argue in the same breath that it's you thinking you want to do comedy that's the problem.
Yes. Yep.
And that's the thing that to me is the most seductive, the most like just calcifying and stultifying and like sad, which is like, I don't ever want to take myself out of the running. And like, I really, every day, I feel like I'm like always so close to taking myself out of the running.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like now a sad Rihanna song is playing. So
I was like, she's in control of this podcast, bro.
Totally. But like, that's my prayer for all Asians, you know, like, what do you take yourself out of the running of?
Fuck, man.
Because that is like the safety bet that our parents have drilled into our brains.
Yes.
Like that is, you know, the immigrant mentality. Like that's the thing. Like people are out here being like Nepo baby. But like the thing to me that functionally makes a Nepo baby is it does not occur to them to take themselves out of the running.
Yes. Right. There's no doubt that this is how it's
they
gonna be.
have proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they have like biological proof, and they also usually have like, you know, like a preferential genotype. But
yeah.
You know, I think that knowing that it can be done materially is really important.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be able to not even just see it, but like this is the way the world is. Yeah.
And like, so that's what intersectionality and like actual like representation is. It's like, if you see it, you can't imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we say it so many times, and like, you know, it's going to be like APAM month or whatever. And like, you say it, but it sort of loses meaning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like, it's actually just still a very real thing.
Yes. Yo, the thing you said too about like not being able to trust yourself, because that is the question. I feel like, what do I take myself out of? I've learned a while ago, I don't know if this is freeing or not, but sometimes I can't trust my feelings. You know, like it's not always, people say, go with your gut. Your gut can lie to you, because your gut is not there's not like a base primordial you that is like somehow hidden through like, through all these whatever things you've learned, and I think there's a thinking that like, if you just go with your gut or your soul or your heart, whatever your heart tells you, I've learned that that's not always going to be the thing that's going to steer you in the way. It's a data point, but for me, I don't know what that is. So I don't know. Again, what's like being able to trust yourself. I don't know what I feel sometimes like rudderless with, like, how do I evaluate things if I'm not able to trust myself?
That is a really good point, and it's something I struggle with every day. And I'm going to answer this question for you once and for all.
Okay. I didn't mean for you to
This is how to do it.
Okay.
All right. Picture yourself. No, I'm kidding. This is the thing that I think that I lack. And I have horrible hygiene, which we were talking about earlier, where I just like project onto all Asians. I'm like, we're the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not. That's like the whole point. But the thing that I do find interesting about my people and myself is that there's something, I have this like mental sort of thing in my head where it's like collectivism or mental illness.
Yep.
Where I'm like, is this, because I just fundamentally believe that collectivism does not work in a late capitalist society. And so we are here like doing a thing that may not actually make any fucking sense. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that to be like, fuck collectivism, everybody is out for Delph or die.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the first question being about like self-denial and self-abnegation for the collective good has to be situation dependent. And more often than not, I only do that shit if I am literally only with Asians. What I'm doing for myself in this stage of my life is spending a lot of time literally only with Asians. That is like a cure for that. But I actually disagree with you. I actually do think that trusting your gut is a real thing. I think trusting your gut as a statement is full of shit. I think that there is a truth within me, and the way I locate that in decision making, I'm like, does the prospect of doing this thing make me stop breathing? Does it give me tightness in my chest? For you, it might be your stomach if you carry your anxiety there.
Yeah.
And then I have to be like, okay, is it making me feel tight in the chest because I'm excited and scared of it? Or because I have dread and I feel like I should do it because this might not be the look, but the things that happened as a result of this might be the look. If I ever think a thing to say yes to is dependent on a specific outcome, I try not to do it.
Okay.
Like if I'm out here being like, I'm gonna like connect, politic, and ditto, fucking build, and then something's gonna happen, I don't go to those. I don't do those because I never do that. I don't build fam. But really the most important thing is, how can you accept actually that there is no correct answer and forgive yourself anyway because you didn't know the outcome going into a situation because you do not read the motherfucking future. And if you feel like you're in repeats and you said yes to the very thing that you wish you had said no to the last 3 times, then can you offer yourself the kindness to know that you needed to say yes 4 times before you understood what that was for you? Like seriously, you just needed 4 times. That's amazing.
Bars.
And like, of course, like, who knows? Like, sometimes for other people it's 6, for other people it's 13. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You didn't know.
I don't know. I didn't know, bro.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
And like, if you keep making the same mistakes, then you stay not knowing, and that's fine. At a certain point, like, something will give you if you are just kind to yourself and you take a beat to see if you liked something or not.
Fucking Waymoon was right again, man. You know what I'm saying?
Waymoon's always right.
He's always right, bro. Well, I hope if you're still listening to this show right now at this point, which I hope you are, because there are some nuggets in this mother, then I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. This, I would say, I owe you definitely a 1099. Okay, the value of this conversation, well over $600 US.
I will send you a super bill.
Yeah, please do, and I will write off this whole conversation. This was. I hope you had fun.
I had fun. I'm sad I didn't get to meet Jenny though. That's my only.
We're gonna make it happen.
I hope she's okay, and I actually think it's really healthy that she's like, I am sick.
Yes.
And I have a lost voice. Also, something's going around in New York where everybody's like losing their voice. Yeah,
really?
It's a thing.
Shit, that sounds like a sweet ass movie right now. That sounds like a badass movie right now.
Yeah.
I feel maybe I should get that.
Yeah, you're like, I'm laryngitis or die. Yeah, totally.
That's us, man. Well, thank you again.
Of course, thank you.
It was all of the benefit was over here on this side.
No, it was so mutual. It was really nice to check in. I had a weird week.
It was. I will just say I'm glad you had a weird week. So because if it was for me, I reaped the benefits. How can our fans find you and your work?
Sure. You just wait many, many years for my next book. I'm at Choi to the World across all social, but I'm trying to be on there less. And like I actually started redoing my podcast. It's called Hey Cool Life. It's a mini pod. I just record it once a week, and it's just a check-in. And I started a newsletter, a Substack, and that's going to come out on Fridays fairly reliably, I think, hopefully.
I love it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do a mini pod.
Well, And it shows.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
No, yeah, it's just a check-in that I can do reliably.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. You can always check out the podcast at Asian Not Asian Pod. You can find me on Instagram at Nice Pants Bro. You can find Jenny at Jenny Arimoto, and she'll be back. Hope next week. When will I see her? I'll probably see her next week. I don't know what else to say. What hasn't? There's a lot of things that have been said, but I don't know how else to top anything that's been said on this podcast. So this is just going to end now. And I don't know. Be kind. Be kind to yourself. I think that's the thing I'm going to try to do. It sounds weird even saying it. I got a weird thing in my stomach. I got a weird thing in my stomach just now saying that.
It feels embarrassing to say.
It sounds embarrassing. Yeah. But you know what? I feel that being embarrassed, man.
It's just Asian.
It's just, sometimes I think being embarrassed, that's the way to go sometimes. Because it's like, you're like, yeah.
And you will survive your own shame.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Be ashamed, everybody. Bye.